what other options are open to him. So we got lots of stuff coming up today, and we'll keep you updated throughout the day. But I think it's always good to command your morning with prayers, right? Let's do this. Father, I thank you. I thank you and I bless you for the way you've watched over us, taken care of us, and we glorify your name because you're a good God, you're a faithful God, and we thank you that you are in our lives and that you've given us grace to be able to face the day. You've given us new mercies this morning, and we are going to enjoy this day in Jesus' name. Amen. Now let's kick it off. Because Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is a man running out of options, as the High Court yet again declined to hold the impeachment proceedings against him at the Senate. In his 24th case in court, embattled Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua sought orders to bar the Senate from hearing the impeachment charges, poking holes into the manner in which the process has been hastened, as well as questioning the public participation that was done by the National Assembly. This now means the DP will defend himself against allegations presented as grounds for his ouster when the motion comes to the floor of the House today and tomorrow, in accordance with the program drawn by the clerk.
Consider the application and argument by parties, the Constitution and the President, the prayer for grant of conservatory order is declined. However, in view of the issues raised in this petition, which also appear to relate to those in petition E522 of 2024, which has been certified for purpose of appointing a bench of an even number of judges to hear, I certify this petition as raising substantial questions of law and of public interest in terms of Article 165 sub-Article 4 of the Constitution. This file is to be placed before the Honorable Chief Justice to consider appointing an uneven number of judges to hear this petition. Given the close proximity of the issues in this petition and those in petition E522, the Honorable Chief Justice may consider whether this petition may be heard by the same bench appointed to hear petition E522. I make no orders on course. Thank you.
So that's what happened at the High Court Milimani yesterday in the latest of attempts to try and save Rigathi Gachagua from impeachment. Now, the Senate will begin critical proceedings on the impeachment motion against Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, moved by Kibwezi West MP Mwengi Mutuse, and is set to unfold within the next 2 days, meaning today and tomorrow, with Thursday reserved for the final decision of this motion. Now, this comes after the court granted pass for the continuation of this motion by the Senate, regardless of the 23 petitions to seize the impeachment. Our reporter Caroline Muthoni has more details on the order of business for Wednesday and Thursday at the Senate.
The Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's impeachment motion by the Senate is set to start early Wednesday at 9 a.m., where there will be a pre-hearing meeting for senators. At 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., there will be an introduction session for members of the National Assembly, as well as the Deputy President and his council. Afterwards, from 10:30 a.m. to 11 a.m., charges against the Deputy President will be read before the Senate by the mover of the motion, Mwengi Mutuse, which includes economic crime, abuse of office, and constitutional violations, among others. At 11 a.m. to 12 noon, there will be an opening statement on behalf of the National Assembly and the Deputy President. From 12 noon to 1 p.m., MP Mwengi Mutuse will present his evidence regarding the charges filed against the Deputy President before the Senate. After a 1 hour 30 minutes lunch break, the presentation of the evidence by Mwengi Mutuse will continue from 2:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Key witnesses are expected to testify against the Deputy President, including Andrew Mudwa, former CEO of the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, KEMSA, who alleges Gachagua's interference in a 3.7 billion mosquito net tender. Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja, who accuses the Deputy President on citing citizens obstructing county operations. Mercy Wanjao, Secretary of the Cabinet, who claims that Gachagua opposed a government-approved evacuation of residents near Nairobi River. From 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., there will be questions and requests for clarity posed by the Senate regarding the evidence presented. The impeachment motion by the Senate will continue on Thursday morning from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. as they kickstart to the evidence presented by the Deputy President in his defense against the charges by Mwengi Mutuse, which will run till 3:30 p.m. Later at 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m., there will be a debate on the motion by the Senate where voting will be conducted to determine Gachagua's impeachment fate. Muthoni Caroline reporting for EBN News.
Now, you know the impeachment is more of a political process rather than a legal process. That said and done, analysts who have been basically on EBN TV have opined that the Senate is more sober-minded to look at facts and evidence provided before making the decision. Well, we'll interrogate if the DP has the numbers on the floor of the House to save him. Is a depiction of how the Senate looks today. The numbers in the House. UDA has 35 members of parliament, ODM has 25, Jubilee has 4, Wiper has 4, and the rest of the other parties have 1 each. So if the president or if the deputy president is to have a prayer on the floor of the House, these numbers will play a key role. If you remember how it played out at the National Assembly, the president and the ODM leader Raila Odinga had marshaled their troops to vote against Rigathi Gachagua, or rather to vote for the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua. Now, the hope for the president and the Honorable Raila Odinga is that they will be hoping to marshal their troops again to be able to achieve the same objective they achieved on the floor of the National Assembly. But now it's pretty interesting if you look at the makeup of the Senate, because Senate has very open-minded members. You're talking about somebody like Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna and other members, the Okiom Tatas of this world, who more or less vote basically according to their conscience, and in some cases have actually gone against what their party was calling them to do. And there's been jitters in central Kenya over the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua. I mean, the ground has really shifted. So it will be interesting to see how the central members of the Senate are going to vote when this impeachment comes. And then in ODM, we know there are a number of people who are basically likely to vote in favor of Gachagua, and they'll be very open-minded. And then there's also another interesting scenario, because the Senate will try and show that it is superior to the National Assembly. And as this happens, there's a likelihood that we'll have more senators actually voting against what the National Assembly is going to present on the floor. Jubilee is going to vote against the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua. We know that Wiper is wiping its senators to vote against this. and majority of the other party will see how this is going to play on the floor of the House. But basically, it comes down to how the big two are going to act, that is UDA and ODM. Are the senators also going to be whipped and agree to be whipped the way the National Assembly was whipped to vote against the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua? So there are quite a number of scenarios that this could play out. It's not a given that he will be impeached on the floor of the Senate. But we'll wait and see how this plays out. Now, just a day after Central Imenti MP Moses Kirima intimated of plans to replace the embattled DP Rigathi Gachagua with Interior CS Kithure Kindiki if the former gets impeached, clergy from Western Kenya have now fronted Prime CS Musalia Mudavadi for the position. The leaders have asked President William Ruto to expand his option and not only settle for leaders from Mount Kenya.
Ikiwa kwa sababu moja au nyingine Seneti itashikilia msimamo wa bunge la kitaifa, Rais ana uwezo wa kumteua mtu ambaye anastahiki kutoka sehemu yoyote ya nchi, wala sio lazima atoke katika eneo fulani, na Rais awe free katika kuangalia pembe zote aone ni yupi ambaye anastahiki. Hata kama ataweza kuangalia katika eneo hii ya magharibi, tatizo liko wapi? Kwa sababu na sisi huku pia tuna wale ambao wanastahiki, wanafaa, wana ujuzi, wana tajriba na wamewahi kujaribiwa.
Hata sisi vile vile huku kwetu magharibi tunasema sisi vile vile itakuwa bora sana akiwa ni mtu wetu ambaye sisi wenyewe tunaona kwamba kuna kijana wetu pale amekaa karibu, na hata ilifika wakati wakasema kwamba yeye ni mmoja katika ile serikali ambayo ilibakia. Kwa hivyo kijana wetu kama vile vile atapewa hiyo nafasi, tutashukuru sana Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi.
Now, later on in the show, during our discussions, we're going to look at how it's going to play out today. Remember, today at the Senate, the National Assembly is going to present its case. You remember the impeachment of the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua started out at the National Assembly. So the National Assembly representatives are going to present their case plus evidence and witnesses that they have who are going to testify against the Deputy President. Then tomorrow on Thursday, we expect the DP himself to be on the floor of the House, basically defending himself together with his legal team. Now, a group of women referring itself as Women of Peace Ambassadors from Mount Kenya region is now calling upon President William Ruto to appoint Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru as his deputy should Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua be impeached. Now, speaking during a presser in Nairobi, the group said it's time for Kenya to be governed or ruled by a woman, and hence the call for a deputy president who is female, adding that Waiguru is the best qualified successor. They emphasized that the deputy president's position should remain within the central region, maintaining its ties to the community. Group members say that Rigathi Gachagua played a significant role in President William Ruto's election victory.
Tuombi kitumbua kiingie mchanga, lakini iwapo tungependa mazuri yetu ambayo Madam Waiguru amekuwa akitupatia ayapeleke pia kwa national. Ayapeleke kwa national, because if you look at qualifications for all the people who are talking of showing interest in this position, I don't think there is anyone qualified like our madam.
Kuna mama ambaye ni wa nguvu na ni our governor Anne Waiguru. Na ndio tunaomba juu ni mama mfanyikazi. Ukikuja hapa Kirinyaga, magavana hao wengine wote walikuwa wanakuja hapa Kirinyaga kuona maendeleo yenye amefanya. Ametujengea masoko, amejenga hospitali, ukienda matauni zote za Kirinyaga kuko na cabros, ukienda kuko na security iko, ukiona pahali pengine kuna project za fisheries ziko na industrial park. Kwa hivyo huyu ni mama ambaye ni mfanyakazi na mama ambaye ako na bidii. Na sisi tunaomba awe mfanyikazi wa Kenya yote, juu ako na nguvu na ako na uwezo na ako na ujuzi na ujasiri wa kufanya kama mama.
All right, let's check out the headlines in the dailies today. We are going to start with the Star newspaper. Now, the Star claims to be independent, fresh, and different. Let's find out how fresh, independent, and different it is. The headlines scream out how Gachagua bought brothers' lavish hotel. This is what it says, how Gachagua bought the lavish hotel called Olive Gardens Hotel. Now, this is evidence that is supposed to come or appear before the Senate today. How he bought that hotel and, you know, basically, if he bought it from his brother, I don't know how, does that constitute grounds enough for them to impeach him? Unless they can prove that he stole money from the government. And I think there's a witness called Njomo Mushira who, according to the Star, confesses that Rigathi used him to acquire Olive Gardens Hotel. So it's I must say, this is going to be very interesting conversations during the impeachment on the floor of the Senate today, as some of these witnesses give evidence and are cross-examined by Rigathi Gachagua's lawyers. On the third page, you have DP job speculation grow after MPs meet Kangata. They've met Kangata. A meeting between Murang'a Governor Irungu Kangata yesterday and some MPs triggers more speculation over Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's replacement. Kangata is among political heavyweights from Mount Kenya regions whose names have featured prominently in the list of the possible successors if Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is impeached. You know, it's very unfortunate that even before you've gone, it's like having your children fighting to inherit your property when you're still alive. And you even have some guy who is coming who is seeking to inherit your wife. You know, like Teroburu, how the Luos do it. I mean, it's that kind of sin. He's watching it happen. He's still alive, but it's unfortunate. Oh my goodness. Battle of top councils, Orengo, Mwite face off in Rigathi impeachment. Then the back page of the Star newspaper, it's a question mark. End of the road? Well, Harambee Stars, you remember they were beaten 1-0 by Cameroon. They must beat Zimbabwe and Namibia to have a chance. I mean, we moved from a good position to a position where we are struggling. We are literally fighting for breath. The Daily Nation, the fight of his life is the headline, meaning Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, and it starts saying a defiant Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua faces an uphill task and battle for survival in the Senate, even as a 3-judge bench appointed by the Chief Justice rules on his last-ditch bid to stop senators from proceeding with the impeachment case against him. Will his efforts bear fruit, or will it be too little too late for the DP? And then we have state will foot the 30 billion shillings owed to hospitals by the NHIF and university dons They're planning to go on strike again. Then on the third page of the Nation, you have university students struggled with her killers. This is a report by detectives after piecing together information that could help unravel the death of a Mount Kenya University student whose body was found in a maize plantation in Kiamunyi in Nakuru County. It is very unfortunate. Then interesting stuff here on the 5th page, how split in Ruto-Raila camps saved Kericho Governor Eric Mutai from impeachment. Interesting read. Then the back page tells us about this looming strike by Wasu Kusu as they issue a strike notice. The Standard newspaper gives a time, it's like a countdown to the impeachment process starting at the Senate. This is so critical. This obviously, it was written, and it says, in the next 48 hours, the deputy president will engage in a fight for his political life that he rose from one-term MP to the second highest seat in the land. Is no feat. However, he faces a permanent ban from public service should he face senators and fail to convince them to drop his impeachment. Already, new evidence indicates the National Assembly will go for his jugular, with friends turning 4 hours after the courts okayed the process. State now promises to clear hospital bills, and then we have on the second page, we have Kenyans wait with bated breath as Adani likely to raise electricity bills. Dun, 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 dun. Then the back page of the Standard, Nigeria refused to play in Libya as Algeria and Cameroon qualify. I wouldn't play in Nigeria. I wouldn't play in Libya either. I completely support them. Because Libya is currently in war, isn't it? Civil war. Why do they want these guys to play football there? What happens if you beat the team? And the fans, all of them came with guns. What happens to you? All right, we're going to go for a short break. And when we come back, we'll have a discussion with George Gaira, who I believe is on his way or is already outside the studio. We'll see how it goes as we discuss what is likely to happen today and what next for Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua.